Okay, April the 2nd, Sunday evening, 2 hours after the weekly close. Let's go ahead and get into things. Let's cover the market outlook and plans for the week ahead. So let's start off with events. There isn't too much to worry about this week. On Friday, we have the non-farm payroll and unemployment rate. So those are going to be not super important. So basically this week, we don't need to worry too much. We just focus on the crypto-specific news events personally. All right, let's cover the S&P. So the S&P has been driving up, as you guys can see. We're trading now into major resistance zone, but it looks like bulls are really fighting for that definitive structural change. So a few different things to go over. Let's start off with the higher time frame picture. So I really wanted to address this because I think this is important to focus on. So throughout the entirety of 2022, there was definitive bear market structure, right? Lower lows and lower highs. And starting at the beginning, the end of last year and transitioning into the beginning of this year, there's, obviously a structural change on higher time frame that's taking place, where we, made a higher high and are making higher lows following. So the argument that the bottom is in is a legitimate one. I still think that the best play is waiting for us to trade back down to here for that kind of double bottom. I still think that that's what's probably going to happen, but I'm not going to get left behind. So basically, as we trade into this resistance zone, so let's zoom in a little bit now and deal with what we're immediately at. We're trading into a major resistance zone. I feel like structure is pretty bullish. So basically, dips are for buying on this. So, pull back into the yearly region is probably what we're looking for, that next drive to get to 43. So I ultimately, I think that we're probably going to trade up towards 43 and 44 based off of the, kind of lower time frame picture here, how we're interacting with the VWAP. The picture on the NASDAQ is more clear just because it's trading up so much more aggressively. So I had talked about that a week or two ago, how the NASDAQ was trading up more aggressively, and I kind of thought the S&P would follow, and that we're at that point now. So basically, I think that we have that nice confluence with the S&P, that it should be able to trade up, which hopefully will give us the ability to trade up in crypto. But ultimately, my view on crypto is a little bit different than it is on the S&P. So we need to go ahead and go over that now. So TLDR of the S&P is, it's very much diddle in the middle right now. It's trading into major resistance zone. So I think it probably pulls back a little bit from here, which is probably a buy the dip opportunity to trade up into this 43-44 zone that we've been targeting. That gets invalidated basically if the yearly gets lost again. I think if the yearly gets lost again, that's probably what I would be looking to actually maybe directionally trade the S&P down. There's always a possibility that I take that option or I just sit on my hands and trade crypto instead. But yeah, basically invalidation for up is going to be loss of the yearly. If we lose the yearly again, that's going to really lock in the chop. And I would be definitely betting on downside if that was the case. Okay, let's go ahead and get into Bitcoin. Let's see, what do we want to cover first? So as far as higher time frame goes, we're definitely a little bit overextended right now. So what I've been talking about was the pullback into the overlaps we have over here. So basically, as far as VWAP goes, it's going to be current year's bands overlapping with last year's VWAP with this larger LV low volume node. I know it's not super clear for you guys here. I can make it a little more clear. So right, look at this LVN overlapping with both of those VWAP structures. So this is the core buy the dip zone. It also lines up with the basic auction market theory concept, right? If we have our composite here, the dips below it, right, should represent, value buys, right? So basically, what we had talked about was we were looking for the spike to trade down into there. Still looking for that. So I've already kicked the dead horse on these VWAP structures, so we don't need to stress that too much more. Let's talk about the composite. So we have a very fat composite going on here. We're at the multi-week stage now. So the comp is, I just redrew it before this video, is 28.4 to 27.4. So a nice 1,000-point comp. It did shift up a few hundred points because over the weekend we had this, development over here. We're trading up consistently into the bands. And now we've, traded back into the lows of it. So this is really setting up, for a nice, bull setup potentially. Trading into those of value, I'm not sure if I want to necessarily be front running it and buying where it's at now, but if we get some sort of sweep and reclaim, we definitely want to be looking to be long bias going into next week. So I think that this is a pretty reasonable setup. I'm going to go ahead and throw an extra alert in here so I don't miss it just in case. Okay, so we have the composite covered, we have the VWAP structuring covered. This is kind of the lower time frame setup. There's always the possibility that we do, trade lower, because this is kind of the macro setup that I was looking for, was to trade lower into this, lower 26s and upper 25s region. So this could potentially happen. But as far as, a more zoomed in approach, I definitely think that this is probably what I'm looking for at the start of the week. So this gets invalidated basically if, it doesn't get bought up very quickly. So you don't want to see, this is the most sluggish that you can see it, where you kind of chop downward. That would definitely be invalidation for bullishness. For more information, check out the Paragon group with the link below, where I cover everything from how I trade to how you can develop your own style. Okay, so that's all the Bitcoin and S&P stuff. That's all the positioning talk. There isn't too much to cover on altcoins. I'll lightly touch on this. So first things first, we'll talk about Arbitrum. So Arbitrum had some horrible news coming out, this weekend. I don't really care that much. I guess basically the foundation did some sort of proposal to do a sell a whole bunch of their token. It didn't pass, and then they were going to sell it anyways. I think that from what I've read, it seems that the community is overreacting a little bit, and that the numbers that people are throwing around about how much is getting sold off is not really true, is my understanding, which sounds about right, basically. So the idea that this becomes a hated coin is actually good, right, for this whole thesis that we've been talking about playing out. So we've dipped into, major bid zone, I think. So Arbitrum is one of the few alts that I will be potentially looking to be buying, basically because I think that this schematic is, continuing to play out here quite nicely. So as long as we start to see the parabola start to shift up, and I want to see structure starting to shift up, I think that Arbitrum is a buy the dipper. At this point, your risk, your invalidation is not that bad. So it's probably worth being a little bit more aggressive with this. But okay, a couple other alts to go over. The CFX coin, this one is probably a buy the dip coin for me as well. It's trading into its yearly bands and right into this kind of bid zone again. So I'll potentially be looking to play this one. Same thing with INJ. INJ is one of the only strong coins out there. Pretty much every other coin is a piece of dog shit right now. So INJ is one I'll be watching. Mask is one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on as well. I want to see it kind of basically reclaim this HVN. And then I'll look for this setup that I had drawn. I don't remember when I drew this. I think this was like last stream with you guys. So I'm still kind of looking for this reclaim of the HVN for this to be a long setup. Other than that, though, pretty much every altcoin is looking like turbo ass. So the only other thing I wanted to cover was some of the sell coins. So basically there's two different types of sell coins that I'm looking at. So ignore my ugly drawing here from the stream, but basically OP is one of the ones. So this is kind of a middle of the pack seller, where it's lost basically all of its VWAP structuring is bearish. So it's a safe bet to bet on something like this trading down into the yearly bands. So this is kind of your lower risk short. It's not going to pay as much. And then there's things like Ape, which unironically are fucking with the structure a little bit because it's got some weird stuff happening off the open. But Ape is one of those textbook, coins where, from a bearish structure where if I turn this to inverted, it's exactly what I want to see, right, for a bullish coin, right? It's consistently trading above VWAP, right? So for a short coin, Ape is basically at the top of my list. So I wanted to cover that. If I end up pivoting to being a little bit more bearish this week, I will be looking to probably sell altcoins. Okay, that pretty much covers it for everything. Let's lightly touch on the content stuff. So Sapphire's news channel is officially live, so hopefully you guys are enjoying that. I think he's doing a pretty good job. Everything looks really clean so far, so I'm really happy with that. So that does it. Good luck everybody this week, and stay safe out there.